Someone says your name in a meeting and heat climbs into your cheeks before you have finished turning towards them. Now you are not only aware of the attention, you are aware that everyone might see you being aware of it. If you are among people whose faces reveal emotion before they are ready, ask what this experience is responding to and what would make it more useful. That question opens a better conversation than another quick judgment about your personality. People sometimes reduce blushing easily to weakness, dishonesty, immaturity, or a lack of confidence. That conclusion is too small to explain the experience. Blushing is an involuntary body response, not a confession and not a character flaw. Social attention can activate it before your thinking mind has decided whether the moment is actually dangerous. The behavior can make sense without being ideal, and understanding its purpose does not excuse every consequence. There is no single personality type behind blushing easily. Temperament, learning, stress, relationships, culture, and practical circumstances can combine in different proportions. Treat this explanation as a framework, not a diagnosis, and keep only what matches the evidence of your life. Start with one possible mechanism. Anticipating a blush can increase self-focus, which makes every change in temperature feel more important. Hold this first explanation lightly and compare it with what your body choices and energy actually do. Compare this first clue across several situations before deciding what it means. Watch how that looks in a workday. A coworker asks for your opinion, and you rush the answer, hoping speed will get the spotlight off you. In the first scene, the need beneath the behavior matters more than how the behavior looks from outside. Read the first scene through need, timing, and aftermath rather than appearance. A second layer is easy to miss. Trying to command the reaction to stop can add a second layer of alarm to the original moment. The second explanation becomes useful only when the same conditions repeatedly produce a similar response. Use the second clue only if it predicts more than one response. The experience becomes clearer in private. A friend mentions the color in your face, and the comment feels larger than the conversation around it. The private scene reveals whether the response brings genuine recovery or merely delays discomfort. Use the private example to compare real recovery with delayed discomfort. The third piece concerns attention. Embarrassment grows when you imagine other people are studying the response as closely as you are. For the third explanation, distinguish what you observed from the meaning you assigned afterward. Keep observation and interpretation separate while testing the third clue. Social situations add another clue. On a date, you interpret warmth in your cheeks as proof that you have lost control even while the other person keeps listening normally. The social scene shows what happens when belonging, visibility, or another person's expectations enter the equation. Let the social example reveal the extra weight of belonging and visibility. Another part appears under pressure. A warm room exertion, spicy food, or emotional intensity can complicate the story you tell about the redness. This fourth possibility matters most when pressure changes the intensity, timing, or cost of the response. Pressure is the comparison point for the fourth clue. Now place the same response inside a stressful week. You avoid raising your hand although you know the answer, because being noticed feels more threatening than being wrong. The stressful week example separates a stable preference from a temporary response to depleted capacity. Use the stressful example to check whether depleted capacity changes the response. A final mechanism helps explain repetition. Repeated avoidance can teach your mind that attention was dangerous because escape seemed necessary. The fifth explanation should increase choice. Discard it if it only supplies a more sophisticated insult. A useful fifth clue creates options instead of another fixed identity. One final scene separates a trait from a trap. Later, you replay the moment and remember your face more vividly than anything you actually said. The final scene asks whether the behavior remains flexible when circumstances, energy, or relationships change. Let the final example test whether choice remains available as circumstances change. To make the blushing pattern more precise, compare three conditions: a rested day, a depleted day, and a day spent with people who feel safe. Notice whether the response changes in speed, intensity, or cost. If it shifts with context, the context belongs in the explanation. That comparison prevents one difficult moment from becoming a permanent identity. Look for a counterexample to blushing as carefully as you look for confirmation. Remember a time when the usual response did not happen, happened less strongly, or ended sooner. Ask what was different about preparation, energy, environment, expectations, and support. A counterexample reveals the conditions that make greater choice possible. The hidden cost of blushing deserves equal honesty. The blush itself is usually brief. The larger burden often comes from avoiding opportunities, monitoring your face, or treating ordinary attention as a test you must pass. Preserve whatever the response protects, connects, restores, or clarifies. Change the portion, reducing freedom, straining trust, or moving you farther from what you value. Start by observing the pattern. When the heat begins, lengthen the exhale and let the body finish its response instead of wrestling it in public. A second step is practical. Move attention outward by listening for the exact question, noticing the speaker's words, or feeling both feet on the floor. Third, make the change specific. Prepare one neutral sentence such as, "I blush easily sometimes," so the possibility no longer feels like a secret emergency. Fourth, make the new response repeatable. Judge the interaction by what you communicated, not by whether your skin remained perfectly unchanged. Fifth, use support carefully. Practice small, chosen moments of visibility rather than waiting to feel completely fearless before participating. Sixth, review what actually happened. Reduce post-event replay by writing down what happened, what you predicted, and what other people actually did. Finally, know when more support is needed. If blushing is severe, persistent, or driving major avoidance, discuss it with a qualified health professional rather than diagnosing yourself online. Acceptance does not mean liking every blush. It means refusing to turn a temporary body response into a verdict about your competence, honesty, or worth. Flexibility means choosing among several responses instead of being pushed into one move. An understandable response does not have to become the only move available. Try one 7-day experiment designed for blushing, but do not repeat a generic ritual every day. Choose one relevant action, use it in a real situation, and record the outcome. Keep, revise, or discard the experiment according to evidence rather than guilt. The next time warmth reaches your face, you can remain in the sentence. Let the color come and go, while your attention returns to what matters. A visible nervous system can still belong to a capable person. The goal is not a new label. It is enough understanding and flexibility to make a more deliberate next choice.